Hello and welcome students, welcome back to Yupp Master. You are watching us live on the YouTube as well and the Yupp Master app. So if you are new to Yupp Master, let me tell you one thing, that the classes are free on the Yupp Master. You can attempt the daily practice paper just according to the syllabus that is going on in the class. You are getting the chance to attempt the weekend exam as well on every Sunday for the topic taught in 1 week. So this is the strategy by which we can achieve the dream rank that you are thinking of, whether it's NEET 2021, those who are watching us, and those for particularly NEET 2022. Okay, so in the previous classes we were discussing about the characters and the features in the Kingdom Plantae. So far as we have completed up to Bryophyta. In the last class about Bryophyta, we discussed about their importance and the classes, the comparative characters. Now, what is next to be discussed? The next to be discussed is about vascular plants. So, when we are talking about vascular plants, it means that they are starting from Pteridophyta and are up to angiosperms. In the beginning of plant kingdom, or you can say the general characters of Kingdom Plantae, there we have mentioned different groups of plants according to their some common features. So, what are the common features of vascular plants? So, vascular plants are actually in 3 groups. We can count them further: Pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperm. These are 3 different members in vascular plants. So, we are saying that these vascular plants are same in, or these vascular plants are common in the terms of what? So, from the beginning to the end, from the Pteridophyta to the angiosperms, the common features that we are discussing about the vascular plants include, first of all, that all the vascular plants, if they are named as Tracheophyta, means they have vascular tissues. Which vascular tissues? The vascular tissues means xylem and phloem. In plant, vascular tissue means xylem and phloem. Now, among these 3 different groups, means the Pteridophyta, gymnosperm, angiosperm, the constituent cells type of xylem and phloem may differ, but the function is going to be the same. Like xylem is associated with transport of water and mineral nutrients. Whereas phloem is mentioned to be, phloem is known for which type of feature? Here I can say about the phloem that phloem is known for transport of organic nutrients which are made during photosynthesis. So that's why they are also called as photosynthates. Okay, so be clear about these terminology. I said that xylem and phloem are present in Pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay, so these vascular plants are grouped as Tracheophyta. Now next to Tracheophyta, the other character that we need to tell, obviously no one is going to discuss about that vascular plants are common in vascular tissue. This is not the actual similarity. You need to tell something better. So the something better is like dominant stage in all the vascular plant is sporophyte. Okay, and that sporophyte is actually vascular. The sporophyte in all vascular plant is vascular. Number 2, that sporophyte is differentiated into true root, true stem and true leaves. What about true root? The true root means which is coming from radicle. The stem means which is coming from plumule. And the leaf which is considered to be true is obviously the one which is having midrib, or you can say midvein. So these are the structures, or these are the similarities in vascular plants. Number thirdly, I can say here is sporangia bearing leaves are present. So there is a new term now, and that new term is called as sporophylls. Okay, the new term is sporophylls for us now. From today we are going to include this word in our terminology, that is sporophylls. So when we are talking about sporophylls, the sporophylls are actually spore bearing leaves. Fine. Other things about Pteridophyta, just general characters. So where you can find the members of Pteridophyta? like the bryophyte members, Pteridophyta are found nearby water bodies. So still they are considered to be land plants. They are second in land plants, okay, but they are considered to be more successful because their sporophyte is having vascular tissue in them. So in that cases they are evolved land plants. I will say they are first evolved land plants. So if they are first evolved land plants, in that cases, yeah, hello Shweta, you are watching the class, you can watch the class, same on the Yupp Master as well. So first evolved land plant, the second is land plants, first was Bryophyta, the second is obviously Pteridophyta, but they are considered to be evolved. Why I am writing them as evolved? Because they have vascular tissues, vascular sporophyte is present. Okay, the main word is vascular. So they are getting better. Plants are getting better and better day by day with the groups. From Bryophyta towards the land habit, towards next we are moving towards Pteridophytes. They are becoming much better as they have vascular structures. But importantly, that these Pteridophyta plants or these members of the Pteridophyta which are found in their sporophytic stage, the other character is that they are embryophyta as well. The first embryophyta was bryophyte. Clear? Nextly, we are saying they are second as archegoniate. Second archegoniate means their female sex organ is again archegonium, just like bryophyta. Similarity with bryophytes. Okay. Next is first vascular plant. Obviously, they are first as vascular plant. Nextly, if we are talking about the habitat where they are found, here again the condition is becoming same as what? Bryophyta. Some people used to write Pteridophyta as second amphibians of plant kingdom. Second amphibians of plant kingdom. Now, second amphibians of plant kingdom means that they are evolved, however, they require water again for performing sexual reproduction. The sporophyte is independent from water, but gametophyte is again dependent on water. Okay, so that type of thing we need to consider. So in that cases, if anyone is saying that amphibians were the first animals to come on land, but for sexual reproduction they require water, the same is about the reptiles as well. Reptiles are considered to be the organisms which move to the land in the better condition, but they are somehow dependent on water. The same happened with Pteridophyta. In the natural habitat, I am saying natural habitat. Here nature means environment, not their own nature. In the natural habitat, they are present nearby water bodies where the place is moist or damp and shade is available. Okay, and the dependency is very clear. Nearby water body, the condition is very clear that again gametophyte is dependent on water for completion of the sexual cycle. So sporophyte in the nature is found nearby the water body because their gametophytes are dependent on water. Else we are observing that the most prominent members of Pteridophyta, which are called as ferns, can be grown as ornamental plants. You can see these ferns as spotted plants, or you can see them in the gardens. But remember that it is the sporophyte which can be grown away from water. Secondly, how is it possible then? Because if you are going to plant a fern in pot, how you are going to plant it? Because the embryo or the dispersal structure reached only the river banks or nearby the water pond or something. The sporophyte are getting propagated by their vegetative structures. They have vegetative structures which can propagate, or you can say sporophyte can propagate vegetatively. Okay, so they can be seen in pots, they can be seen in gardens as well. Nextly, the thing about habit. So obviously the sporophyte is dominant, and if the sporophyte is dominant, the sporophyte is independent as well. Clear? The unique feature which we used to say about the Pteridophyta member is that they have gametophyte and sporophyte both independent. This is the only group. Pteridophyta is the only group in Kingdom Plantae where we are discussing that both gametophyte and sporophyte exist for a considerable duration, plus both gametophyte and sporophyte are independent. Earlier Bryophyta was Sporophyte was dependent. In the later members in Gymnosperm and Angiosperms, we are going to see that Gametophyte is becoming dependent. Pteridophyta is the only one. That's why I am writing unique character of Pteridophyta is that Gametophyte and Sporophyte are independent. Nextly, we are saying Sporophyte is dominant. Yeah, Sporophyte is dominant, photosynthetic and differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. Okay, that is the kind of structure. We used to say that these often bear hairs on surface. Clear? These are often bearing hairs on surface, hairy leaves or hairy stem. These features we can mention. Although if I am considering the root, stem and leaves type of structure in them, we need to discuss about the example as well. Okay, and these all organs possess vascular tissues. One more word can be used instead of writing vascular tissues. A synonymous word, or you can say a synonym, can be mentioned like the organ possess vasculature. Vasculature means vascular tissues, obviously. Clear? Either words can be used. Either you can write they have vascular tissues, or you can say they show vasculature. Okay, it means the same. Fine. Taking the example that are given in the NCERT book, we can identify the parts as well. But see certain features that we need to discuss importantly. What I told you that this is just now we have discussed that the root is coming from radicle. Means the root that arises from the radicle is obviously primary root and later on going to form taproot system. But in Pteridophyta, root is short-lived, or you can say the primary root is short-lived and therefore the true roots are getting replaced by the adventitious one. Don't believe this? See, this is rhizome, okay? Rhizome means what? Underground stem. This is underground stem. Number 2, if rhizome, if we are observing the structure very carefully, we can observe that these are the roots. Now, when the rhizome is bearing roots, what type of roots they can be? Obviously, they are what? Adventitious roots. Okay. So, here we can say this is an example which is called equisetum. Equus is horse. Okay. Equisetum, common name horse tails. These are horse tail. This is strobulus, or you can call it as cone. These are nodes, internodes, and these are branches. Okay, these things are branches. Fine. So, branch stem, aerial. Underground stem is called rhizome. Example name, equisetum. Other side, that member. This member is Selaginella. Now, most of the description is given about Selaginella in NCERT. Okay, this Selaginella, the leaves are given, stem, roots, these are again. See, this is a unique structure. If someone is asking you that, have you seen Selaginella? If you are going to say, yeah. Have you seen the figure of Selaginella? Yes, I have seen, it is given in my book. Then what is the unique thing that you can recognize only in Selaginella, not anywhere else? That is the structure which is called as rhizophore, rhizophore. So students, if you remember that in the previous class, I made you recall the terms that are starting with rhizo. Okay, means something which is representing root or root-like, something like that. So in that one we have studied from the beginning itself. Rhizo was rhizobium, clear, in the root nodules of leguminous plants that we have discussed. The second was rhizophora, the mangrove plant which is having respiratory roots. The third example was rhizomorph, that is given in Kingdom Fungi. The saprophytic fungus is having rhizomorph to take up nutrition from the surroundings. Next is called as rhizines, that is seen in certain lichens for attachment to the substratum. Okay, the other names that we can include here, the new name that we studied in the last class was rhizoid. Okay, so these are different structure, and now I am saying today as rhizophore. But remember, rhizoid is functioning like root. Okay, rhizomorph is functioning something like root, but this rhizophore is one which is bearing roots. It is not the root, it is bearing roots. So rhizophore is something in between the stem and the root. Okay. The other question about rhizophore is, what is the ploidy of rhizophore? Now this plant body is sporophytic. Rhizophore is 2n, means diploid. Okay, and the roots are obviously what? Adventitious, no doubt about this. Now this structure is becoming more prominent as compared to all the parts. It is coming as a separate structure, the spike. Clear? So spike, that's why appear as spike. This is appearing as spike. So if it is appearing as spike, then we can say that the name of Selaginella spike moss. This is called as spike moss, remember. Okay. So some typical features of Selaginella that we have discussed. One more feature of some species of Selaginella is resurrection habit. Now actually plant kingdom questions are not coming out of the NCERT. So we need not to worry much about these terms like resurrection. Rhizophore is important still. Resurrection means what? When the conditions become dry, the Selaginella become uprooted. Instead of lying prostrate on the ground, it will become a roll, means a ball type of structure, and brownish dry. When the condition become again wet or moist, the ball become unrolled and again rooted. This is resurrection, means rebirth. So prostrate lying, this one erect. Other examples. The topmost example is given as what? Salvinia. Now Salvinia is aquatic. And here instead of the roots that are coming from the base of the stem, something like this, we are observing here the roots are actually modified leaves. Leaves are getting modified to roots. Such characters we can mention about Salvinia. The other one, this example is just mentioned as fern. No scientific name, nothing. Fern is actually, you can say, a taxon, means a group of organisms. Later on we are going to give more number of examples in ferns. Okay, here just description we need to discuss. So this is about the figures that you need to remember. Remember about rhizophore, remember about the appearance of the cone. Okay, cone is there in Equisetum, cone is there in Selaginella. I can make you remember one more thing about Equisetum is like that Equisetum is having silica, means sand particles in it. So that's why Equisetum can be used as abrasive, means you can use Equisetum for rubbing and polishing the metal surfaces. In total, the abrasive in entire of the plant diversity are given in, or entire of the kingdoms are given in 3 places. One, diatomaceous earth can be used as abrasive. Second, certain protozoans have silica, some shells which are made up of silica that can also be used as abrasive. The third is Equisetum. Okay, these are 3 examples that you need to remember that can be used as abrasive. Living organism sediments which are used as abrasive. The next feature after the figures, obviously first we need to discuss about the root. As I told you that these are true, they are coming from radicle, but they are short-lived. The root that arises from radicle is short-lived, the primary root is short-lived and therefore getting replaced by adventitious roots, as just now we discussed in the figure. And rhizophore is the structure in Selaginella which is bearing the root. Typically we need to remember. You can also add the example of Salvinia where leaves are getting modified into which structure? Roots. Okay. So that is the thing about root. Moving to the next, the other character, the stem. So about the stem, it is coming from the plumule. Stem is obviously having the ploidy what? Tuven. The next feature, the plumule is giving rise to the stem which is either aerial, prostrate or erect, or it may be bearing the underground stem which is named as rhizome. So where we are observing rhizome? So rhizome is seen in one Equisetum and second ferns. Try to recollect the things that you have studied about rhizome in morphology of plants. Rhizome is what? Underground stem. Now stem is having bud, it is obvious. Okay, so this rhizome acts as propagule. Propagule means the structure that can propagate vegetatively. As I told you that sporophyte can propagate vegetatively. Here I am telling you. The sporophytic plant body can do vegetative propagation. This is how they are able to sustain on land. Else they are obviously confined to where? Nearby water bodies. Okay, vegetative propagation. And this vegetative propagation requires bud. You can refer morphology of plants for studying bud. Okay, this bud is present on stem is obvious, right? For example, rhizome. And the second example or second place is leaf tip. That is seen in adiantum. This is an example of fern. Here it comes. Adiantum. So adiantum, the leaf tip is bearing bud. So because of its own weight, the leaf is going to touch the ground, and then again this bud sprouts, give rise to the new sporophyte plant. So this is how adiantum caudatum, that particular species named as walking fern. We call them as walking fern. So sporophyte can propagate vegetatively. That's why it is possible to grow them in pots or in gardens. Okay. Their leaves, the fern leaves are large, attractive, for which they are grown as ornamental. Discuss it later in the importance of pteridophytes. The other character, that is about the leaves. When we talk about leaves in Pteridophyta, the leaves are true, no doubt. They are ploidy 2n, okay, but the leaves are dimorphic. Now dimorphic means based on function, they are of two kinds. One is photosynthetic leaf, the second is called as sporophylls. The leaves which are bearing sporangia. Remember something about sporangia in terrestrial plants? Multicellular having jacket, the place where meiosis will occur. Okay, so photosynthetic leaves are called as fronds, whereas the one which is bearing sporangia are called as sporophylls. Now sporophyll is something flat, obviously like a leaf. So here I am saying this is adaxial side and this is abaxial side. Adaxial means above, abaxial means lower. Okay, and we are observing that these sporophylls are going to bear the sporangia on lower side, means this side. Now if I am going to consider about the features which are called as or found in ferns, these are sporangia then. These are sporangia. So they are present in groups. So we say the group as sorus. Group says sori, S-O-R-I. And this covering which is present over here is called as indusium. Indusium is also diploid. Okay, this is one of the thing. Okay, fine. So we are saying that this is the leaf. This side they are bearing the sporangia. Okay, fine. The thing is that either these sporophylls are going to aggregate or they may remain separated. First we talk about fronds. Okay, fronds means the basis of classifying members into fronds become, or the leaves which are performing photosynthesis become a basis for classifying Pteridophyta members into two groups. The two words are given. One, megaphylus. Mega means big. Phylus means the one who is bearing the leaf. Okay, microphylus. So one who is bearing the bigger size leaves. The other which is bearing the small size leaves. Mega means bigger size. Micro means small size. So big size leaves bearing members are called megaphylus. Small size leaf bearing members are called as microphylus. Megaphylus leaves, because of their large sizes, they try to minimize the water loss during transpiration. So they become what? They become compound pinnate leaves. Remember something about compound pinnate leaves? Let me tell you how they appear. Now this is a common axis on which the leaflets are coming. Okay, this common axis is called as rachis, and here we are saying that these are leaflets. Okay, this is how we are observing megaphylus members bear the leaves which appear something like this. This is compound pinnate leaf. Examples are ferns. Here, microphyllous, simple leaves. To understand the compound pinnate, you can again see the figure that is given in NCERT also, the potted one, the green colored photograph that they have given, actually photograph, not the figure. Microphyllous is simple leaf. These simple leaves are seen in, see, members are getting repeated, Equisetum and Slegionella. Older examples. Lycopodium is an ally, a relative of Slegionella. Okay, remember that one. We are going to add one or few example only. Unnecessary examples from biological classification or Kingdom Plantae are not at all required for NEET or not even for the school examination. The other feature that we are going to discuss about is sporophyll. Now, what about these sporophylls actually? So, when we have to discuss about sporophylls, as I told you that they are what? They are going to bear sporangia. So, when they are bearing sporangia, their appearance is either one, the sporophyll themselves getting aggregated into cones. So, sporophylls having sporangia on this place, sporophyll having sporangia on this place, they are getting coiled into a cone-like structure, as we have studied in what? Slegionella, Equisetum. Okay. Whereas the other type of arrangement is actually aggregate of sporangia, not the sporophyll. Sporophyll remain separate, sporophylls remain independent. Okay. And then they are having groups of sporangia on them like this. So, that is called as what? Sorus. Plural is sorae. Where we are founding them? So, that structure is called, that example is fern. So, here is the thing that you need to remember, that we have mentioned these structures here. Okay. Indusium, not mentioned in NCERT, but better if you are going to retain this word. Okay. They can ask the question about the ploidy. Right. So, this is about the leaves in Pteridophyta, two types on the basis of function. The one bearing doing photosynthesis, means having chlorophyllous nature. The other one is reproductive in nature, bearing what? Sporangia. Okay. Now, sporangia being the site of what? Meiosis. The sporophyll that bear the sporangia is the site of meiosis. Then the cells of sporangia which are getting specialized to perform meiosis are called as spore mother cells. These are spore mother cells. The spore mother cell will be therefore ploidy 2N. Only diploid cell can undergo meiosis. Okay. What type of meiosis they are going to show? They are going to show meiosis. Which type? Spore forming meiosis, sporic meiosis. And they will form haploid spores. Got it? They will form haploid spores. So, representing the this SMC or spore mother cell therefore represents last cell of sporophytic generation. I repeat, as the spore mother cell undergoes meiosis, it is considered to be the last cell of sporophytic generation. The spores are haploid. Now, in Pteridophyta we have a new feature. Earlier to this we learned one thing, that all bryophyta member, all bryophyta are homosporous, means form one kind of spore. Physiologically only one kind of spore. But in some members of Pteridophyta, physiologically different type of spores are formed. In that cases, the name is given as Heterosporous. So, Pteridophyta species are either homosporous if they are bearing only one type of spore, or they are heterosporous if they are bearing different, physiologically different kind of spores. So, homosporous species means bearing one kind of spore. Example includes Equisetum, Lycopodium, such examples. Adiantum also you can take. Heterosporous means bearing physiologically distinct spores. How they are distinct physiologically? Different spores will be, one is called microspore ploidy and megaspore ploidy and. So, such type of features we can mention. Examples of these. So, the example will be like this. That's Legionella, Isoetes, Marsilia, Azola, Salvinia. Remember how many? 5 genera. Total are 7, but the questions were asked about only 5 genera. What are they? Legionella and Isoetes, Marsilia, Azolla, Salvinia. Okay, these all are the examples that you can mention this. Okay, so this is the thing. Yeah, Adarsh, from where we are watching, you haven't mentioned, but you are saying that, sir, mera naam lijiye. Okay, Adarsh, welcome to Yupp Master. So coming to the next one, here we are saying the sporophylls that we are saying. The sporophyll will be going to form the spore. Okay, meiosis happened, spores are formed. So spore are formed and we are saying those spores are going to germinate. But this is classic again. The spore is the first cell of gametophytic generation. The spore is first cell of gametophytic generation. So we are hoping the same thing, that spore is going to germinate and will bear what? The gametophyte. But the germination of spore to a gametophyte can be direct or indirect. The direct germination means germinated in Lycopodium, Slegionella, Equisetum and example like Salvinia. Directly to what? A gametophyte. Okay, the structure of gametophyte we will discuss separate, but this is what we need to know, that in these many examples, the germination of spore is directly to the gametophyte. Whereas there are the examples where the germination is indirect, means the spore germinates and then we are observing in most of the ferns, the spore first forms the prothallus. Okay, previously in Bryophyta we have studied the name of protonema. Here it is prothallus. Okay, the prothallus members are obviously, or we are saying where these prothallus can be seen, it is seen in most of ferns. Remember, I have written most, I haven't written all the ferns. Salvinia belongs to fern group. Okay, but it is not forming prothallus. This was a question in previous year NEET. In NEET 2012, they have asked such kind of things. Okay, that they have given a statement and they were saying that choose the incorrect statement. Salvinia does not form prothallus is a correct statement, right? So here it is. In most of the ferns, the prothallus is formed. The prothallus, like the gametophyte, remember, like the gametophyte, is heart shaped. The prothallus is heart shaped. The prothallus is thalloid. Thalloid means again what? Dorsiventrally flat and bearing sex organ and rhizoids. Again on which surface? The ventral surface. The lower surface, this side. The lower surface is going to bear which type of thing? Both rhizoid as well as sex organs. So in Bryophyta members we have studied that sex organ comes on dorsal side. Okay, rhizoids comes on ventral side. Here it is, rhizoids and the sex organs are on the same side. I repeat, on the same side. Fine. So that is bearing the sex organ. So it means anyone who is bearing the sex organ, we can call it as gametophore also. And getting matured as what? Gametophyte. Let me tell you one such example. How does this gametophyte appears? So this gametophyte is what? This gametophyte appears something like heart shaped, like this way. Okay, this place is called as apical notch. Next, the other characters. Here we are saying this is the place where we are observing the male sex organ, and above side, this place is the female sex organ. Rhizoids are present in this area. Okay, so we are saying that these structures means these are archegonia, these are antheridia, and these are what? Rhizoids. Ploidy rhizoids, obviously haploid, being on gametophyte. Okay, this you can see in Dryopteris. Dryopteris is a fern. Okay, both male and female sex organ. Archegonia means female sex organ. Antheridia means male sex organ. Both male and female sex organ are present on the same gametophyte. It means the gametophyte is monoecious. Gametophyte is monoecious. Fine. But if micro and megaspore are different. If the species is heterosporous, then two different type of gametophytes will be there. One is male and the other is female. You can say those who form different type of spores, those who formed different kind of spores will definitely form dioecious gametophyte. See what name I have written here? Monoecious. So if male and female are separate, I will call them as dioecious. Where? So this is also we need to know. Firstly, about the sex organ. The sex organ in Bryophyta are just like the same. Means we are saying in Bryophyta and Pteridophyta the sex organs are same. The name Antheridium for male, Archegonium for female. However, there is a difference. The difference number one, that the sex organs are stalkless or they don't have stalk in them. The second difference comes in Archegonium, where the number of neck canal cells get reduced into 1, which is either uninucleate or binucleate. Okay. The male sex organ Antheridium is going to bear what? Antherozoid, means the motile male gamete. Antherozoid mother cell will be haploid or diploid? Answer is haploid. Antherozoid, haploid. You can call them as sperm cell as well. In Selaginella, it is biflagellated. In other example like ferns, they are multiflagellated. In Archegonium, the neck canal cells number are getting reduced to 1, and secondly, we are saying they are either uni or binucleate and have non-motile stationary female gamete larger in size, which we used to call as oosphere. Okay, oosphere. The name is going to be same in all the land plants. Next, so what about heterosporous species? Because the sex organs are on the different one, we are calling them dioecious gametophyte. The microspore germinated, dispersed and germinated into what? The male gametophyte. Fine. The male gametophyte bear male sex organ Antheridium, and that Antheridium bear antherozoids. Ploidy of antherozoids, obviously N. Whereas megaspore is going to germinate but not dispersed. I repeat, not dispersed. What does it mean? It stays on the parent sporophyte. However, we have mentioned the gametophyte and sporophyte both are independent in Pteridophyta. But see what we are writing here, so be careful about this. That in Pteridophyta, the female gametophyte rests on parent sporophyte, particularly where heterosporous species, where male and female gametophyte are separate. So the female gametophyte is retained. Clear? The female gametophyte is retained, and then we are saying the female gametophyte will retain on the sporophyte, and this is representing two generation. What two generation? Gametophyte N, sporophyte 2N. So more than one generation in a structure represents something like higher plants, and that something is what? Seed habit. Okay. So if anyone is going to ask that what originated first, seed habit or heterospory, answer is heterospory originated first. Okay. Remember, Pteridophyta members are not forming the seed, they are exhibiting something like the seed habit, means one over another generation. Okay. It is not the seed, it is resembling structure, it is not at all a seed. Seed is at a unit of dispersal, they are not forming anything like that. Okay. So here I am saying those which are heterosporous species will form which type of gametophyte? Monoecious or dioecious? Answer, dioecious gametophyte. Clear? They will form dioecious gametophyte. Number next, if they are forming dioecious gametophyte, the other feature in heterosporous, I am saying the heterospory is, means bearing different kind of spore is heterospory is precursor means beginner. The first one is precursor, later is precursor of seed habit. Okay, after Pteridophyta, what we are supposed to study? Gymnosperm, angiosperm, they are seed plants, they all are heterosporous. So in due course of evolution or in during evolution of the plants, we are saying heterospory originated first, thereafter came seed habit, formation of seeds. So here generation within generation is seed habit, and then we are saying such condition means the resting gametophyte is retained on the parent sporophyte till fertilization get over. Okay, even the embryo is getting formed, getting the nutrient from the female gametophyte. Let me tell you one such example. It is Legionella, Heterosporous, obviously. Where we are observing these things, I will put the all 5 examples over here. Starting from the Legionella, Isoetes, Marsilia, Azola and Salvinia. So here is the thing that we need to know, that in example which is named Legionella, common name spike moss, female gametophyte, I am making female gametophyte, is appearing the same, heart shaped, is multicellular, okay, and then it is bearing rhizoids from the same place, but see antheridia are not there. Above side is archegonia, right? These will be archegonia, female sex organ. And the male gametophyte is 13 celled. This is female gametophyte. In Legionella, male gametophyte is 13 celled, means reduced. Female gametophyte multicellular. Okay. So these are the things that you need to remember about Legionella, and remember this is going to stay on the parent sporophyte. Okay. Next, out of this Heterosporous and the sex organ coming as what? The sexual reproduction. That how the sexual reproduction is performed. The gamete transfer in Pteridophyta is through water, just like bryophytes. Okay. The gamete transfer in Pteridophyta member is through water. So in that case it is a similarity. And through water, how the male gametes, motile male gametes are able to reach the archegonium, same chemical stimulus. Means the chemicals are secreted from the archegonium, same way NCCs, neck canal cells, are degenerating. They create certain chemical stimulus at the tip of archegonia and anthrozoids are reaching there. So here we say the features of sexual reproduction in Pteridophyta are again written in the same way. 1, it is internal. Number 2, it is oogamous. 3rd, chemotactic. 4th is zooidogamous. Now why I am telling these things? Previously we discussed it verbally. Now we are going to describe even in the written form. Internal, because the sex organ female is the place of fusion of male and female gametes. Now the female gamete is larger in size. That's why, or you can say the oosphere is participating. That's why sexual reproduction or the union of gamete is oogamous. Nextly, chemotactic means the chemical attraction or chemical stimulus is there which is causing migration of the male gamete towards the neck or you can say tip of archegonia. Zooidogamous, because motile gametes are formed. And thereafter, what is the product of oogamous sexual reproduction? The product of oogamous sexual reproduction means the place where the female gamete is larger, and then we are saying the product is called as oospore. Not at all to get confused, okay? Oospore is diploid. Oosphere means the female gamete. This oosphere is haploid, oospore is diploid, oospore means zygote. Oosphere means female gamete, egg. How many names we have counted for oogamous sexual reproduction? At that time I was telling you that you can write in place of female gamete either egg, ova or oosphere. Any of these 3. Okay. Going to the next feature, the other characters. So the sporophyte development. So how the sporophyte develops? The oospore is the first cell of sporophytic generation. It is diploid obviously. And then we are saying the first cell of sporophytic generation is oospore. The oospore will undergo division, will form so many cells. Thereafter cells become differentiated to form the embryo. Here the embryo develops and form plumule and radicle. Ploidy, no doubt about this. Diploid. Okay. Next, when we say embryo thereafter get detached from the female gametophyte. So embryo when getting detached from the female gametophyte, then we are saying that embryo is trying to get independent. Future sporophyte. Embryo is representing what? Future sporophyte is trying to get independent after it is differentiated and gets separated from the gametophytic body. Okay. So, this is how we are saying the sporophyte develops in Pteridophyta members. So, when we are discussing about the sporophyte, remember one thing very clearly, that there are so many differences between the sporophyte of Bryophyta and Pteridophyta, and there are very less similarity between the gametophyte of Pteridophyta and Bryophyta. Okay. So, Bryo and Pterido differs a lot in their gametophytes. Bryo and Pterido similar a lot in the case of, I am saying that Bryo and Pterido differs least in gametophytes. Bryo and Pterido differs a lot in sporophytes. Okay. So, that type of thing we need to remember. Here is the classification. Here is the grouping that we need to know about. Okay. What type of examples are given to us? So, 4 are the classes. Classes, how I am identifying? The suffix opsida is used for classes. So, 4 classes are there. Xylopsida, second is given Lycopsida, next is Sphenopsida, and then is coming as Pteropsida. The Pteropsida is the class of true ferns. This is the class of true ferns. Okay. So, this will be considered as true ferns then. Okay, fine. About these classes, what is the special thing? The first, about Xylopsida. Members are mentioned, Rhinia and Xylotum. But the most important thing is they are considered to be the simplest vascular plant. They don't have differentiated root, stem, leaves, but they have vascular tissue. Interesting. Lycopodium Selaginella isoetes belongs to Lycopsida. Lycopodium, common name is club moss. Selaginella, common name is spike moss. Isoetes, common name is quillwort. So, these type of things we can mention. Other important feature, as we have noticed this thing, the examples Lycopodium and Selaginella in different places as what? That these are bearing small size leaves. So, it means they are microphyllous. Now, we haven't studied underground structure in them. Okay, we haven't. Okay, but we have noticed what they are forming, cone or strobilus. Important features. Okay, remember these microphyllous, cone or strobilus like structures. Next, about Equisetum, what we have studied? Equisetum, common name is horsetail. Equisetum, common name is horsetail. What we have studied about the character of Equisetum, we will consider the same thing as the characters of class as well. Equisetum was mentioned as microphyllous. See, one word is called as microsporophylls. This is written as microphyllous. So, be clear about these things. It is not microsporophyll, it is microphyllous. Leaves of small size, vegetative leaves, photosynthetic leaves of small size in these members. That is microphyllous. Alok Kumar, it is precursor. Precursor means the earlier one. There are so many things. Precursor means the first, the later structure and the first structure. If anyone a P-R-E, pre means the earlier formed is pre, right? So, the first form is precursor. The first form is called as precursor. So, the precursor of seed habit is heterospory, because without heterospory the seed will not be formed. We are going to elaborate this in gymnosperms as well. So, precursor can be used anywhere. Okay, means we can say in different examples as well. For example, cell wall is formed by cell plate. Cell plate is formed by pharmoplast. So, the question can be like, the precursor of the cell wall is, okay. So, the first form or the earlier form structure is called as precursor, okay. That is called as precursor. I hope you got it. So, here is the thing we are saying, the Equisetum member is microphyllous and they have microphyll, means a small size vegetative leaves. Second, they are also bearing cone. They have underground stem which is called rhizome. The aerial stem is branched, whether it is Lycopsida or Sphenopsida. Okay. So typical features we are writing, whatever we have mentioned about them earlier. So these are true ferns. So what to mention about true ferns? So the true ferns are one which are considered as megaphilous, okay, means bearing larger leaves. Next, they don't bear cone or strobili, okay, they bear what? Sorus, plural is called as sori. They have underground stem which is called rhizome. Okay, these are the things that you need to remember about them, because they can ask even about the examples, that what type of character they are exhibiting. Fine. Salvinia, Azolla, Marsilia. These all three are aquatic. I repeat, Marsilia, Azolla, Salvinia. These all are aquatic, but still the name water fern is given to Azolla. Water fern is given to Azolla. Okay. Next, other things, Adiantum, Pteris and Ophioglossum. Okay. About Adiantum, I told you walking fern. About Adiantum, I have mentioned it as what? It as walking fern. Now, what to remember about the other members means this one, Ophioglossum. Interesting example. The plant member who is having maximum number of chromosomes, commonly as adder's tongue fern. Adder's tongue fern. And then maximum number of chromosomes. Okay, this will be maximum number of chromosomes. How many? 1260 chromosome in the diploid cell. So that is why we need to remember about the member that is called Ophioglossum. So this is about the classification. Okay, this time the classification is given at end for Pteridophyta, not in the beginning. Okay, Xylopsida members are mostly extinct. Remember this one. Equisetum is the only living genera in Sphenopsida. Okay. Next, there are some other things are also there which are apart from NCERT, but they are not much relevant here. Like one is Scheler system, the second is secondary growth in pteridophytes. So in that cases we say that we need to discuss about them. When we are going to discuss about anatomy, there we will mention the secondary growth in Pteridophyta also, just as an example, no elaboration, nothing else, where it is found, that's it. Okay, so there we are going to discuss it, that which type of vascular tissue system or vascular tissues are present in Pteridophyta. There we can compare, because we don't know about much about the vascular tissues right now. Okay, so wait for that sequence, that will be easier to retain. Okay, unnecessary writing more number of example will create more and more confusion. Try to get confined to the NCERT, because question examples are asked from NCERT itself, although they can manipulate the lines, no doubt about it. Okay, about the importance of the members in Pteridophyta. What are the important members, or what are their importance actually? The first thing that I can say, that they are soil binders, right? How? They bear roots. Okay, they bear roots, and these roots hold soil, therefore protect from soil erosion. Nice. In Bryophyta we have studied there is a different method to avoid soil erosion. What? The mat-like growth of Bryophyta members means the mosses was protecting soil erosion. But here soil binders means, actually the word soil binder is used for those who are having roots in them, whether vegetative or whether true root or adventitious roots. Secondly, ornamental. Which type of plants? I have already told you, ornamental. Large leaves of ferns are attractive. So ferns are ornamental. What is ornamental in ferns? Gametophyte or sporophyte? So it must be sporophyte. Leaves are on sporophyte only. Next, the other character, other feature, medicinal importance. Yeah, there are species of Slegionella which can be used for heat shock purpose. Heat shock means if someone is getting fainted due to heat, temperature. That type of treatment can be done by using different species of Slegionella. There are other members as well. Next is the feature like what? Medicinal. Then another example I can add, and that example is from our side, Azolla. That example is Azolla. Now Azolla means, how is it important? I told you that Azolla means water fern. This is having symbiotic nitrogen fixer, that is Anabina, and this Anabina can do nitrogen fixation, and it is used in increasing paddy yield, means it is used in rice field to increase the production. Okay, such are the examples. So Azolla is becoming important. One more I can write, it is Equisetum, and I told you rubbing and polishing metasurface. Simplest and the best. Okay, so this is the condition. Now if you are capable enough, if you are able to recall the classes that we have studied about Bryo and Pteridophyta, if you have gone through NCERT, I advise you to do a comparison between Bryo and Pteridophyta in terms of their sporophytes, in terms of their gametophytes, in terms of their sex organ. Definitely you will get the best out of the NCERT, best out of the class notes. Okay, this is advisable that you should download the Yupp Master app. It is totally free. The classes are not at all chargeable. You can attempt the daily practice paper over there. You can watch the live classes. You can watch the recorded, pre-recorded classes as well of the earlier topics. So, and if you have any doubt, you can raise a query, you can raise a doubt over there. There will be a weekend exam through the app itself, so that you can increase your efficiency as well as accuracy. So if you are preparing for 2021, means in that case, if you are studying in class 12th, be ready for your preparation, thorough preparation, exhaustive preparation, because only 6 months are left. And if you are in class 11, you can build your best fundamentals while learning through Yupp Master. Thank you for watching the class on the Yupp Master. All the best.